Hello everyone, and welcome back to Brick Country. Mason here. Today in this video, we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 largest LEGO Star Wars sets in my personal collection. And I can't wait to take a detailed look at these sets. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, at the number 5 spot, we have the Ultimate Collector Series Ewok Village, set 10236. This set was released in September of 2013 with 1,990 pieces. Wow, that's a lot of pieces. And it also includes 17 minifigures, 5 of them being exclusive to this set. Now, this set originally only cost $250 US. That seems like a very fair price for this awesome Star Wars LEGO set, but sadly nowadays, if you want to get this set sealed, it could cost you around $560 to get this set now sealed. That's crazy. What's so special about this set to me though, is this was actually my first large Star Wars LEGO set. Before I got really into collecting the UCS LEGO sets or much of any LEGO really, this was the first big set I got and it really started it all for me. So I'm really happy to still have this one intact in my collection. Now as for features of the set, you can see there's this almost outpost-like tree over to the side, and it has a very nice rope ladder technique coming down the side with one of the old scout troopers you can see hanging on. Then we have Logri, and he's just kind of sitting up there watching the battle. Now, one function I really like about this tree is actually right behind him in the actual hut. You can see there is actually a working trap door right in the middle. It's just some plate and tiles on a rail, and it just slides right out, and you can just push it in and out. And the function is that you should be able to place an Ewok or a minifigure there, pull the trap door, and they'll slide down through the hollow tree out the bottom. It works. As for design on the huts, you can see there's some very nice tan elements used to frame in the doorway. With these almost, they're dark tan, but I believe they're supposed to represent like dead leaves and stuff like that, but they're palm leaf elements. And these nice torch designs. And I love how consistent it is throughout the whole build. All of the hut entryways are the same with the torch design and the dead palm leaves on top. And I think that's very nice. Coming around the side, you can see there's a very nice rope bridge. I love this rope bridge design. We have the Chief Chirpa minifigure right on the bridge right here. He's freaking out because we have a nice speeder bike ripping down through the Empire showed up. I love this design for the speeder bike as well. It uses a very old molded element, and I really like how that looks. You see we have 2 of the rebel troopers down here on the ground, and 2 stormtroopers as well. The panels that the stormtroopers are on actually are removable, if you remove the figure first, of course, and they just kind of sit in there thanks to these sloped elements. They step up on the 2 tiles right there, and they just kind of frame in the forest floor very nicely to give more depth to the build, and I really, really like that. Now, it's a little fragile when you're moving it from point A to point B, but for the most part, this set sits on my shelf, and I think it looks really good having that added detail of some forest floor. Now, all 4 of the trees in this set have some sort of hidden function. Now, this one I was showing has the trapdoor function. This one over here, though, with a little flip of this lever right here, you can see a spider web shoots out of the side, so you can flip that out and have your speeder bike crash into that. I think it's a really fun detail. You can also see there's a nice spider hidden on the side. And then for the next tree design, come around more to here, it's actually a door function where you can put Luke's lightsaber and a blaster hidden right in the tree, and it's a good place to store some extra weapons so you don't want lying around. Now, as for the last tree, you can see we have the Ewok warrior standing on these stairs right now. Really good figure. And then there's just some little steps going up. And this is actually a panel that just almost folds up thanks to some hinges. And there's almost a little hidey hole inside the tree. See if I can get the camera up in there. You can see there's an Imperial helmet and some tally marks on that wall. And a heart with some writing in the Star Wars language. I can't remember what that's called off the top of my head, but you can see there's some writing on the wall right there, which is very nice. And it's all framed in with some tan, and I really like it because it looks like the inside of a tree, and I think that's just such a fun added detail. Lastly, the main area of the Ewok Village, you can see there's three more huts over here, and then the main party area. There's various types of drums. You have the almost Ewok made drums, like homemade, and then the Stormtrooper helmet drum set, which is my personal favorite. You can see we have the fire pit over here that you can cook Han Solo if you so choose. And as you spin him, it also spins the fire thanks to the positioning of the minifigure, and I think that's a really fun detail. Then you can see there's some clear pieces to lift C-3PO up and down. You can kind of pose him. It's just a clip on the back, and you just kind of raise and lower him. You can see around here, it's just some basic clips kind of holding him in, and you can just pose him at the desired height you want, which I like having him floating to recreate that very fun Ewok Village scene. And that's just really fun to have. Next, we have this hut over here, which is like a kitchen. Got a nice pot here and some storage up above. And then there's the trap, which Chewbacca got himself stuck in. As you can see, it is the old Chewbacca minifigure, which is really nice. And it's kind of hard to manipulate on, but once you do, all four corners wrap up on this net and you can capture him. And it does lower all the way to the ground, which is a very nice added detail. So once you capture Chewie, thanks to the pulley system, you can just hoist him straight up to the Ewok Village. Very nice. Last few details, you can see there's the poles that Luke Skywalker and some of the rebels, I believe, were tied to, so you can recreate those shots. And there's just another simple hut in the back corner. All of them are spinnable, as you can see on this section. Obviously not the outpost one, just the main three. And there's just a very nice fire pit inside, and there's also a catapult mounted on the roof of this hut. And then the last hut, we have Princess Leia, the most expensive minifigure in this set at $90 now. You have her in her indoor attire. And then you can see it's a two-tiered hut. You spin it around. There's a nice bed and bedroom for Princess Leia on the inside to rest. And then there's almost some designs or blueprints for some various Ewok weapons, which is a very fun added detail. And now for the best function, in my opinion, of the set. This little Technic piece right here, connected to a vine. You pull it, and logs drop from behind the trees where you can recreate the scene where the AT-ST comes through. But since this set doesn't come with an AT-ST, you can use your speeder bike and place it down in there. And once you push the Technic piece back in and set up your speeder bike, you can smash the bike with the logs, which I think is just a really fun detail. That's such a fun and iconic scene to indoor, and I'm very glad that it's been represented here in this build. This is a very, very nice LEGO Star Wars set, and I'm proud to have in the collection. And I really hope LEGO decides to revisit indoor in some master builder form very, very soon. On to the next in the list. At number 4, we have the LEGO Star Wars Master Builder Series Mos Eisley Cantina, set 75290. This set was released in 2020 and has 3,187 pieces. That's a lot. But this set also has a ton of minifigures, 21 to be exact, 9 of which are exclusive. Now, this set is still available at retail price of $400, so if you want to get this set, you still can through lego.com. Diving into the actual build, you can see we have 2 speeders included in this set. One of them being piloted by Herchek Calfas. That is an odd name. I actually had to look that one up, so I'm reading it off. And we also have Greedo's speeder, which is a very interesting design. It's like a rounded droid almost, but there is a spot for Greedo to sit in it and put him inside. Very interesting design on that one. Yeah, so as I was saying a second ago, there's a lot of names in the Star Wars universe, so I actually have my iPad here to help me out with some of these more interesting alien names. Now, before we talk about the actual cantina, let's check out these side buildings over here. We have a Jawa shop right over here. You can see there's a minifig named Moma Nadine checking out the selection at the store. You can see there's some nice junk racks on the side, and then it just splits open. There's a nice spot for the Jawa to sell his stuff. And then there is a door in the back. You can see it just slides open perfectly. And then there's also a side section. This is all modules, so you can see there's some clips, so I can turn it around. And there's this little character's house right over here. His name is Cabe. He uses the man-bat element from DC, which I think is a very good parts usage for this figure. And you can see it's just a fun little character. put him in front of his nice little house over here. And the roofs are, of course, removable. And then looking inside, you can see there's some nice little storage over here, a kyber crystal in the corner. Wonder where he got that. And then the back door I was telling you about from the back side, you can see. And then both buildings are movable from each other as well. Moving on to the actual cantina, you can see we have the Guardian Spy over here with that very nice molded element for his face. He's spying on Luke, of course, as well as Ben Kenobi, as R2-D2 and C-3PO. You got them all right here in a fun little scene. Then the front door of the cantina can open very easily, and there's the outside is very nicely detailed. Its base is tan, but then there's different colors and types of detailed bricks scattered around to give it a more weathered look, and I really, really like that. Moving around this way, you can see we have the dewback right over here. Got a very nice mold for him. Jaw can open. You can see right there. And you got a very nice brick-built saddle for the Sand Trooper up top. And then a pin for him right over here with some food and water. And there's also various straps for your animals going around here. So different customers of the cantina can just tie up their animals whichever side they come to, really. Coming around the back of the building, some of the comment section, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe these are called moisture vaporizers. And you have two of them in this set, the small one over here and one on the far corner as well. The back wall is a little bland. You can see there's some hinges where the set can open up. And then around here, we have the back storage room, nice door right here. And this dome opens up to reveal a little interior with some different storage of different drinks and different equipment that the bartender can use. Coming down this back wall, you can see there's a lot of junk piled up in the back, another one of the moisture vaporizers. And then right in this front room, we can start getting into the interior now. The dome opens up, and you can see there's a nice waiting room and a machine that lets the bartender know when droids are trying to sneak into his establishment. Now, to access the rest of the interior, you simply remove this portion of the roof, this skylight almost, and then each almost bar section, or booth section, has a removable roof section so you can see the interiors. But to open up the main build, you can see, just push a little bit, and there's these Technic pins which link together these staircases. And then if I can slide some of this stuff out of the way, you can see that the entire thing will open up to reveal the interior, which I think is really, really cool. Let's start off with the bar itself. You can see we have the main bartender, Wooher, I believe his name is. And then he has a very nice rounded bar right over here with some nice white curved elements, and then this bar element or flex tubing going around the perimeter. Then there's some various drinks and beverages for sale around here, and even some more in the back. Now you can see there's some various booths I was talking about. These corner booths are very nice. They're kind of private in the corner. And you can see there's these roof modules that just come off each individual stall. We have two more characters right here, Dr. Evanza and Ponda Baba. You can see them right there beside Chewbacca. And when you close it up, it looks like they're just kind of walking around the bar, and Chewbacca's ordering himself a drink. Last portion of Mos Eisley, you can see we have the Bith musicians in the back corner and a character named La Brea right over here. He's also exclusive to this set. And then the most iconic scene, I think, to take place in Mos Eisley Cantina is the shootout between Han Solo and Greedo. Now, you can see on the outside, it mainly just looks like junk, but these two functions here are actually triggers for the inside booths. So when I'm over here, you can decide who wins the fight. Now, obviously, we're going to choose Han, and with a flip of a switch, he just won. You can flip Greedo out of his chair thanks to a little Technic piece hidden in his chair. Now, there's also one for Han, but of course, we got to represent the scene accurately. Overall, a very awesome set, and I love having this set in the collection. On to the top 3. The moment you've all been waiting for, the third largest UCS set in my collection, and in my opinion, the best LEGO Star Wars UCS set LEGO has ever done, the UCS Venor. How cool is that? Set 75367. This set currently retails for $650 US. And the piece count on this thing is 5,374 pieces. That is crazy. But just look at the detail on this thing. They put those 5,000 plus pieces to good use on this build. From the greebling on the side to the simple details that they add in the panels, this thing is just such a beautiful Lego set. You can see we have some very nice turbo lasers on the side. There's also these hangers on either side of the vehicle, one with this very nice closed door look, and one with an open bay with a microscale gunship coming out the side. Now, someone in the comment section let me know what these actually are supposed to be, but I believe we have some more cannons mounted down here, and that's really cool. Now, moving more to the back, you can see there's some massive, I mean massive engines. Like, look at these things. They're very well supported. They're very strong. You see there's some Technic pieces holding them in place, and I really like the detail they put into these engines. You see it's identical on the other side, and there's this very nicely shaped back, and I just love how this set looks. You can see there's some very nice details on the bridge or the neck of the ship going up to the bridge, and the bridges themselves are very nicely shaped, and I love how they did it in dark red to be almost the flagship of a fleet of these Venors, and that's so cool. On the bottom of the ship, you can see we have two Technic stands installed into the bottom of the ship, and they just go directly into the Technic frame and core of the ship. The bottom is mostly plain studs, but you see there's some minor details like some stripes, and down the middle there's some very nice details as well. You can see a nice almost hangar bay entrance on the bottom that can open in Star Wars universe. Obviously in this build it can't, and I just think it's very, very nice, nice structure on the bottom, and it's a very, very sturdy build, which I really like. And I love how the stands actually go to the Technic core, unlike the UCS Star Destroyer, which is a lot more flimsy, I've heard. If anything, this is the single most imposing and impressive display model of any LEGO Star Wars UCS set, in my opinion. The length of the ship, the width of the ship, the shape of it is just so, so cool. I know LEGO Star Wars and especially Clone Wars fans have been wanting one of these for a long time, so I'm very, very glad LEGO finally got around to doing it, and that I own it. It is just such a cool set, and like I've said, it is my favorite of the LEGO Star Wars UCS LEGO sets. Now, on to number 2 of the top 5 biggest LEGO Star Wars sets in my collection. At the number 2 spot, we have the Razor Crest, set 75331. This set came out in October of 2022 at the retail price of $600. And you can still get this set today. It is still on lego.com. In fact, all the sets on my biggest list are still currently available with the exception of the Ewok Village. Now, this set, you're probably wondering piece count, has 6,187 pieces. The largest set on my list, which I'll save for in a few minutes, actually barely edges this one out. It was so, so close. This set, though, is really cool and is one of my favorite of the minifig scale UCS Star Wars LEGO sets. You get 4 minifigures in this set, if you count Grogu as a minifigure, and all of them except Grogu are exclusive to this set, with the printing and arm printing for the Din Djarin or Mandalorian character. Then we also have the Mithril and Queel with a very interesting head mold. I know it's been a little bit of controversy around that head mold, as it kind of looks a little funny, and I really wish the Mithril got a molded head, but I still think the print looks good. You can see Queel, though, is also riding a blurg that's attached to the stand, and it's all attached to the UCS display stand, and I think that's really, really cool. Moving on to the actual set, this set is massive. If you haven't seen this set in person, I don't know how I can translate that, and I hope it translates well through the camera, but this is a massive model, like massive. The engines alone, I mean, look at that. I can't even reach all the way around them. That is a massive build. The exterior of the ship is very nice. There's some combination of sticker elements and tiles to get these stripes. I know that kind of looks a little weird here, but I think the overall effect looks really good. You can see it's very nicely shaped with some different techniques to give it that interesting shape that the Razor Crest has. And the landing gear is permanently folded out on this design. They cannot retract, as that would weaken the system, I bet, too much. So these have big fixtures of Technic beams running through them. So this is a very, very solid build. The top of the ship, you can see, is very smooth, very sleek, and there's actually one really cool detail. There is a removable escape pod on top of the ship, and if we bring it down here, you can actually remove the panel and fit a minifigure inside, and then thanks to some clear pieces, you can see their face through there, and then you can just launch off if you so choose, but it just fits perfectly right inside the roof section of the Razor Crest, and that is just such a fun detail. Now, before we show the full interior, I want to show the minifigure scale doors. You can see there's just this little tile that if you grab and can drag down, it actually unfolds to reveal the loading ramp or the entrance to the Razor Crest, and there's actually a matching one on the other side. You can see straight through the build there, and that is really, really cool that they included that detail. You can see it pops in, and it's just nice and flush to the build, with the exception of this tile that you can pull it out with, and then it's obviously matching on the other side. Then on the back of the model, you can see right here, there's actually the almost garage bay doors with these very nice hydraulic lift arm design to give the ramp its effect. And you can actually take the blurg from this and walk him up inside once you have removed Queel. And then you can load your blurg inside the Razor Crest in that garage bay. And then you can just fold it up and close it up, and he's inside. How cool is that? I really like that they paid attention to detail and included that, which they didn't have to, but it's a fully functional one. And since they decided to go the minifig scale route for the UCS set, I'm very glad it's there, and I appreciate the effort on their part. And if I can ever get this blurg out of there you go. It's a little finicky, but it does work. You can see Queel just sits right back up there, and I just love the attention to detail here. Now, we all know that the Razor Crest is Din Djarin, or the Mandalorian's home, so it actually has all the full details from the show inside, and let's take a look at that right now. To start, you can remove this entire panel to reveal the cockpit space. You can see there's Din Djarin, or the Mandalorian's rotating chair, and then tons of keypads around here. They also include the little control stick that Grogu loved to play with the top of, and I think that's such a fun detail. You can see moving back, there's this very nice door right here. And then in the very back, I've just stuck Din Djarin's extra hairpiece there so I don't lose it. But you can see there is the Frog Lady's eggs from one of the episodes. And then also there's this little pin on the ground. And then if you take Grogu's tram, you can actually attach it to that element just like that. This whole area is removable by pulling this up, and you can remove that entire panel to access more of the interior. You can see there's actually a hole in the floor which connects perfectly to this ladder over here, which drops down further into the main bay area of the ship, which is really cool detail. You can see down here, we actually have Din Djarin's bed, which is another nice added detail, and right underneath it, you can see there's actually some wires which represent the scene where Grogu actually had to go into one of the pipes of the ship, and Din Djarin was kind of directing him about which wires to connect, and I thought that was always such a funny scene, so I really am glad that they added that detail right in there. Now, to access the rest of the interior, you actually have to remove this entire wing module, which is probably most of the weight of the ship, I feel like. It's just very, very dense, and then there's actually two more panels here and here to reveal the full interior of the ship. So coming down to the main area, you can see there's a nice generator on the floor, and then over here, we actually have two of his bounties in carbonite and a carbonite freezing chamber right over here. And I really like that they represented that fun scene from the intro of The Mandalorian right over here. And then coming around to the other side, we see we have some buckets on the ground over there, or crates with some different bowls on top. And then to the other side of the cabinet, we have Boba Fett's armor, which he gets in one of the episodes. And you can see he has his armor mounted on the wall. And then we have a nice sticker element up here, which I believe says baby on board in the Star Wars language. And there's actually this whole cabinet unit, which I can remove, pull it up, and there's actually his weapons cabinet with tons of weapons, different like guns and stuff, mounted to the inside, similar to what we see in the show. Overall, a very awesome set. And without further ado, let's look at the #1 largest LEGO Star Wars set in my collection. At the #1 spot, oh, wait, give me a sec. There we go. At the #1 spot, we have the UCS ATAT Walker, set 75313. This set was released in November of 2021 with 6,785 pieces, making it the largest LEGO Star Wars LEGO set in my collection, as well as one of the most expensive, as this set's current retail price is $850. Now, if you thought any sets earlier were massive, this thing dwarfs them all. It is humongous. Now, you probably all own at least a minifigure of some sort. The scale of that thing, he barely passes the bottom of the foot compared to the massive AT-AT Walker itself. The legs of this machine are massive. They're actually constructed with Technic elements in the core, as you can see here, and it is so dense and so strong. That took the longest part, I think, of the whole building process, was just the leg structure, as it is just so dense and so strong. Then you just cover it with these basic plates, and I think it gives a really, really good effect, just covering it up nice. Kind of hard to finagle back on, but once you get them back on, they're just so cool and so strong, and it's just very sturdy build. You can see we have our intrepid hero right here, Luke Skywalker, ascending into the belly of the beast with his lightsaber and a thermal detonator. And then you can see the actual belly of the beast is highly detailed, actually. This panel is removable right here. It's kind of hard to access, but for where he throws his thermal detonator up into the belly. And then you can see there's this nice frame going right here, very rounded structure to give the shape of the stomach of this giant mechanical beast. And it is very, very cool to see that they put detail there, as this is just such a cool and iconic machine in Star Wars. The side panels are very nicely detailed, and they also hinge a little bit so you can see some of the interior, but I'll reveal more of that in a minute. But my favorite part of this panel is on both sides. Actually, you can pull this pin out, shifts it forward, and this whole door can actually open to reveal this almost shooting deck for the snowtroopers. You can see they have these big turret cannons, and they can just blast the enemies from there instead of having to come all the way down to the ground, which they can, of course, and they do in films. But it's really cool that they included this nice panel that can open up on the side to reveal such awesome details. The top of the beast is also very highly detailed, top of the AT-AT, I should say. And you can see there's some nice vents over here, nice shaping going down. And then the back of the beast, or AT-AT, you can see there's some nice paneling and armor on the rear as well. Now, the head is one of the most iconic parts of the AT-AT, with that simple red line for the visor or windshield that you can see out of, and these awesome cannons mounted on the side. Now, you have some simple built ones on the side with some basic pin elements and some Technic pins on the tip to give it that cool effect. But these really nice ones on the bottom, it's really cool. You pull one forwards, the other goes backwards, almost like the recoil effect on actual blaster cannons. And you see there's a very nice design for the shaping of them on the bottom, and as they go, just pivot back and forth. There's also a nice vent on the bottom, and it's just very nicely shaped. There's actually an interior in the head as well, simply by lifting this panel. First, you can see here's some of the Technic supports that connect it to the AT-AT body. Then these have to be really strong to support the weight of this massive machine. I occasionally have to push these pins back down, I've noticed, because over a long time, the pins can almost shift up a little bit, and that kind of scares me a little bit because I really don't want this to break. But just occasionally checking that and pushing them down, you should be fine. Now, once you have lifted that, you can grab just below the visor and lift the whole thing up to reveal a pretty spacious interior. You can see we have 2 seats for 2 pilots, and then we have General Veers in the back with almost an airlock door behind him and almost his desk area right here, which is very nice. And then looking up, you can see there's a nice Technic structure, and then it is upside down, but there is very nice panels right here and levers that once you lower this whole panel, they line up perfectly with the AT-AT pilot that they can drive the vehicle. Actually, if I lower this bit and remove this side panel, you can see that right here, just very snugly fits them all in perfectly. And yeah, there's these side panels for the AT-AT. You can just fit them into these little grooves and they just close up very nicely. And then the body has a very similar technique to it. Let's take a look at that now. For starters, let's remove this panel right here for the roof. and there's actually 2 more panels here and here for the rest of the roof structure. These side panels, you simply lift these bits up, and then you almost have to bend it up a little bit, because you can see there's some various Technic pieces on the base of it to connect with the very spacious interior. Now I'm only going to remove one side of it because that's all you really need to see all the detail, but the other side is removable as well. Now inside, you can see there's actually a lot of interior space. First, in the back section, we have 2 big crates that if you remove these Technic barriers right here, you can actually see there's some fuel tanks inside, I'm guessing to power this giant machine. And then the Technic pin helps just kind of lock in this whole frame to make it really strong. And it's just a kind of a Technic hole running across this whole structure. Going down a level, we have an almost garage area with a scout trooper and 2 speeder bikes, which are on these racks that they can just be removed off of if you can grab them right. There you go. I'm doing this one-handed. But you have some very nice speeder bike designs. And as you get the snow trooper battle packs to go alongside the AT-AT, they will actually come with speeder bikes to fill in the other side, because the AT-AT itself only comes with the 2 speeder bikes, but getting 2 more battle packs, you can actually fill in the other side, which is what I did, and also helps you stock up the interior of the AT-AT, which has tons of chairs for your snow trooper army. I have mine kind of scattered about through the place, and then this figure right here is the snow trooper commander. There's actually a slight blue dot you can kind of see on his shoulder in the right light. It's kind of hard to get it to focus because it's so deep in the base of the machine, but that is the almost general or captain of the vehicle. And then coming around into here, there's the main shooting deck I was talking about. There's also a ladder in the back corner you see to ascend into the benches areas for the troops to ride in this AT-AT. Another cool thing to look at now that we got some of the panels back on before I put this one on is this Technic piece right here. Now, if you grab it, the head can actually sway back and forth thanks to some mechanics right in the neck. And I think that is so cool because in the movie, you see the AT kind of swing his head back and forth a little bit as he's firing at the Rebel Alliance. And I think it's cool that the UCS set actually has a function to represent that awesome scene. Now, the last thing I want to touch on about the AT-AT is actually something about the display pack. It's black. If you turn it around, you actually get a tool, brick-built tool that comes with this set. Get rid of that now. And you might notice in the legs, there's these tiny holes, and there's actually a brown pin. You can slightly see it in there. And what the tool's for is it slides over that pin, and you can rotate it to pose the legs. You can see it bending in different directions. It's slow, so you have to kind of keep turning it. And you also have to worry about the balance of the whole set. But it's really cool that they included a tool to do it. Now, I prefer my legs only slightly bent to give them the walking feeling, but still being secure. But all the legs are posable, both at the knee joint, and then also, if I can find it, there's also one a little higher, right there. And you can rotate it right at the, would-be hip joint of the AT-AT as well, which I think is so cool. This is the only UCS set I'm aware of to include a tool to pose it, which is really, really cool. Granted, I also think this is the first UCS vehicle to actually need a tool to pose its legs, as it needs such strength in the legs to hold up such a massive structure, and I'm glad that they did. Well, there you go. This has been my top 5 biggest LEGO Star Wars sets in my collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'm curious, comment below what your biggest LEGO Star Wars set is in your collection. If you want to see more awesome content right now, though, you can check it out on the end screen now. I'll see you guys later, and may the Force be with you. Farewell.